of you that don't know or have not met me in passing or I've not shook your hand today, my name's Matt Hirschfield. I'm a senior consultant Optimize Engineering. My role within Optimize is to support you guys with the tools, user training, and all that good stuff as well. So what we wanted to do today was have a little bit of it's been billed as a reporting mastery session. It's just a bit of a walk through the reporting tools, the capabilities that are there, and some of the sort of report styles that you can have on there. Okay. What I will say is, if you've got questions, I'll try and leave some time at the end. But if anything does come up and you don't think you can remember till the end, it's only 30 minutes, but just put your hand up and we'll come to it. So, Richard. I was hoping you were going to come up and take this now. So, okay. One of the main strengths of the ELM tools is its reporting capabilities. So, doors next. The ELM tools, not just doors next, of course, ETM and workflow management, is the dashboard, that collaborative sort of interface that you've got with the wider teams. Now, maybe a generalization, but how many of you all who are using the ELM tools have actually done anything with your dashboards? We've got one at the back there, Matt Mendel, great stuff. Josh has done a bit, excellent. Straight out of the box, this is what your standard vanilla doors next dashboard looks like. And as you can see, it's very pretty. There's lots of what we call widgets. So I'm going to be mentioning widgets quite a bit for the next 30 minutes. It's nothing to do with cans of Guinness. These are these little panes of information that we've got on the dashboards. Okay. So we've got the widgets and we've got these things called tabs. Anyway, there we go. So the key drive behind this is that moving engineering teams from that siloed working environments and working to a more collaborative way of working, having access to the right information at the right time, all of the information that is pertinent to them is key to using the tools. Okay, so not making the use of these dashboards is you're not getting the most value out of the tools. So hopefully by the end of the next 27 minutes time, you'll have a bit of a view of what can be achieved with the dashboarding. Okay. There's nothing too technical in here, by the way, because I've put it together. All right. Okay. We also, is Matt Muller in the room? No, he's not, I don't think. What we want to avoid is death by pie. The pie chart is a wonderful piece of graphical information, but it should be used sparingly in most of our eyes. I'll be perfectly honest with you. One of the first dashboards I put, it looked like the pie shop, basically. It was just filled with pies. People never looked at it. So what we want to avoid is death by pie. Okay. It's a smorgasbord of reporting. Okay. So this view here, we want to give some insight. Okay. We want to give an idea of what's going on with our data that we've got in the tool. And again, we're focusing specifically on this particular dashboard, which is requirements. So we've got some views of sort of stakeholder requirements here, and we've got stack bars, one of my personal favorites. I love a stacked bar. And we've got some other reports at the right-hand side there, and they're trend reports. Okay, so they're put together in a slightly different way. And what they give you is some insight into sort of the state of the data over a period of time. Okay, so that can be useful from a point of view of saying, how many requirements have we moved from draft to in progress? How many are approved? That kind of thing. So that's the kind of thing that we're seeing on the right hand side there. Okay. The agenda. Hopefully, I'll stick to it and won't go off piste. We're going to cover some ELM fundamentals. That's because we were talking about ELMs earlier on. Reporting capabilities. Talk about what comes out of the box, what you can extend and build up to. We'll have a little bit of a chat about data sources as well. The key thing to that is just understanding that they're there and understanding about how to, what to base your reports on. Okay, we'll do a little bit on report best practice, and then we'll have a look at some of those extended capabilities in a bit more detail. Not too much detail because I know you've just had a big lunch, and you'll probably be falling asleep in 30 minutes time. Okay. So let's start with some reporting capabilities. Okay. So the standard reporting capabilities that we get with ELM JAS reporting surface, report builder. Extended capabilities, you'll notice I've changed the colour on these two boxes just to highlight this. So we've got engineering insights. Anybody used in engineering insights? Thanks, Matt. Should have asked you to do this. And then we've also got another reporting tool called the Engineering Publisher and Document Builder. Okay. Now, each of these capabilities have their sort of place in the ELM toolscape and that reporting infrastructure. Okay. Let's start at the top. JAS reporting surface, report builder. So, show of hands. I want to make this interactive because you just had a big dinner. Who has seen report builder? Oh, that's good. That's good. Who's built a report that works with report builder? Oh, that's even better. Brilliant. Good stuff. Okay, so you're probably in the wrong meeting. You're probably in the wrong session, to be honest. But no, so report builder, what does it give you? It gives you those tabular reports. It gives you access to create graphs, and it gives you access to create like compliance matrices and things like that, risk matrices. And those things can be added to your dashboards and used sparingly. Okay. So where do we find report builder? It's on the home menu. Where else would it be? Probably for the people at the back, you'll have to look on the side screens to see where it is. It might be a little bit too low there. But yeah, so there it is, report builder under reports. And Harry and Jim may have mentioned this on their slides earlier on, but the report builder is certainly one of the tools that's had the most effort and time put into it from the UI perspective recently. It's, you know, certainly from 703 onwards, it's got that new carbon interface on there. It's a nice, simple interface to get to grips with. Okay. Data sources. All right. I promise this isn't going to go too far down because we're all just had lunch. All right. So when we come to build those reports from Report Builder, we can base those reports on two different data sources. Okay. We've got the data warehouse. And I've got my comedy stick here. For those of you that can't quite see, data warehouse and LQE. Okay. Now both those data sources have a slightly sort of different sort of way of capturing the information. Okay. So if we think about LQE, we'll start off with LQE. LQE is the data source which provides you with a near live reporting experience. So when you're building a report for a dashboard, if you have a need to see up-to-date live information, then you would use LQE as the data source. Okay. There is another option which is LQE scope by configuration. So if you're using configuration management, you can do that as well. So you can see that data across your different streams and configurations. Okay. The data warehouse. So the data warehouse gives you is basically it's another store of information. Okay. So each of these applications have their own database. Should have used my stick there, shouldn't I? I do apologise. Use my stick. Here, and here, and here. Each of these applications have their own database. Information gets put into those databases as they're working through. And then what happens at the end of the day, sort of midnight-ish or whatever, can be configured. Data warehouse will pull that information in and have it there ready for access. Okay, so data warehouse gives you sort of slightly different. It gives you the sort of the last state, if you like, at that time. And that what data warehouse also does is it allows you to create those trending reports that we showed. Okay. So depending on the type of information you want to show on your reports, basically you have those options about choosing between LQE and data warehouse. Okay. Is there any questions about that before I move on? So this is also just a quick check to make sure that you're all still awake. Yeah. So in terms of the history, yeah. So what you're talking for the trending reports? Is that, yeah? So for those trending reports, when you come to build those reports, you can actually put a time frame in. So you can set you can say, right, okay, well, for the last 3 months, so you can put a time period in as part of the sort of the trending report, sort of building that up. Yeah. Yes, a daily data point. Yes, yeah.
So yeah, so once yeah, so it's just that daily data point on the data warehouse, from the data warehouse. Yeah.
Hi, I'm sorry. How does the report builder functionality work with the Doors Classic? Are we saying that does an export from Doors Classic into this data warehouse, and then your report builder is looking at the data warehouse?
Yes. Yeah. So you've got where you've got. I mean, obviously, Doors falls out sort of slightly outside the normal ELM tools, if you like. So what that would do is it would pull that information in using those using the DCC, pull that information in, put it into the data warehouse, and then you can build your reports up from that. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay. Section 1, close. Let's set my timer off, so I'm not just wondering where I am. Okay. Section 2, reporting best practice. Running through this quite quickly. Okay. So the next sort of part of it is we're going to look at how we can sort of start to plan a reporting strategy, which is, I believe, is key to making the most of those reporting those reporting dashboards. Okay, we'll plan the reporting strategy. We'll look at what we need to do to create that reporting strategy, and we'll have a look at sort of understanding the data model as well in a bit more detail. Okay. So what do we mean by data modeling in ELM? So we're talking about understanding artifacts, understanding attributes, your link relationships and semantics, and also workflows, okay? Or workflow states, if you like. Okay. So artifact types versus data attributes. Okay, so what are we talking about here? One subject we get asked quite a lot about is how to sort of plan out that data model and how to work with the requirements. You know, do we have one requirement that has lots of different attributes in there, or do you have an individual sort of different requirements to show different levels of decomposition through your system? Okay, so for the requirement system that you've got on there. Okay, when you create a Doors Next project using the traditional requirements template, basically what you have on there is you will get a single requirement type, you'll get a single requirement specification type. What we tend to find is that you'd be better off, or one of the recommendations we have is that you have, for each different level of decomposition, you would have a different requirement type on there. Now, what that gives you is hopefully shown on those slides there, but for each of those different levels of artifact type, if you like, you have got a different set of attributes against the artifact types. You can set a specific workflow to manage that as well, because if we think about how those artifacts at the different levels, so you've got stakeholder level 1 requirement maybe, and it's like the next level down, you've got your system requirements. You might have a different workflow for getting those through the system, and you might have different attributes that you want to capture against each of those different ones. So having a different artifact type against each of the different levels provides you with that sort of more scalable way of producing, of moving forwards. And also it's certainly far more beneficial from a reporting perspective as well, because when you actually come to build those reports up, having that knowledge of where you're expecting the data to be in each of those different artifact types will allow you to sort of hopefully not troubleshoot or fault find, but it'll give you a bit of a clue of where things are basically within the system. Okay, within the Doors system. Okay. Any questions about that before I move on? Everyone's asleep. Okay. We can also suddenly realise that anything at the bottom of the screen, the people at the back will have to divert to the left or right. Where we've got that decomposition of the artifact types in the system, we can also put some link constraints around that as well. So we can define where, you know, we can also constrain how requirements are linked across the system as well. So that will stop, hopefully, people linking their requirements to the wrong pieces of information, such as system requirements linked back to headings within the stakeholder requirements section, which is something I've come across with my own personal experience there. Okay. So linking relationships and semantics. Sorry, I didn't think, what I should have done was change the color of the slides as I was going through when I put this together, basically, because it looked like it hadn't changed them. So when we're talking about those links as well between our artifacts, we're having an understanding of our link relationships and those semantics that are involved in the system, understanding how requirements should, how our information is linked across, as we can see here, the engineering life cycle, if you like. So we've got our requirements at the left-hand side. We've got some test artifact. We've got some test information in there, and we've got some workflow items as well, basically. So having an understanding of how each of those artifacts are linked and that traceability around that is key for us to be able to build up those things like gap analysis reports or reports that show where we've got gold plating going on, for instance, and where we've got unexpected bits of information dotted around the place, or tasks that haven't been completed, etc., or associated with a requirement. Okay. So I mentioned it sort of 2 or 3 slides back. One of the key things, which I think is underused in most of the people that we speak to, is the workflow facility. As for those ELM users out there, is anybody using workflows? Yeah. 3. Thanks, Matt. 4. I think, you know, there's quite a few. There's a lot of users in here who maybe not really understanding that there's that workflow feature in there. Okay. Now, if you've got, we can assign basically, if I talk about the requirements level here, basically a workflow is a set of steps, states, actions and sort of transitions which takes a requirement through the process that you have in place within your organization. So how do you get from, how do you take each requirement, say, through the point of being new, being a draft requirement to new, to in progress, under review and approved. And we can use those workflow states for really good effect within our reporting, because we get an understanding of where we are in the progress reporting of the project. Okay. Just noticed I've got a note at the bottom of my notes here saying 5 minutes max on this. I think I might have been a little bit ambitious with that slide. Okay. Okay. So what we have here, I'm hoping, is, I do this, I put together a little video of how you can sort of implement the workflows, which, as there's only 4 people in the room that have actually done that, it might be quite useful for some people. I do that. So I went over to the settings menu, went to the artifact settings here, and basically when you create a new artifact, you can select a workflow for it. So there's IBM are amazing. They provide you with a default default workflow for you to follow through. Okay, with the artifact types. So you can assign one workflow to many artifact types if you wish, or you can have individual ones, like I say. So here we're given a bit of a view of the actual workflows themselves and how we set those up. Okay, so we can see down the left-hand side, we've got a set of states in there, we've got some transitions, and then we've got our actions in the middle. So we use this matrix to basically take whichever artifact it is through each of those steps along the process. Okay, so it's probably a really good way. I started off quite long hair, and then I got into creating workflows for people, and now I'm bald. So it's useful. It's incredibly useful. And the way we action that is, and we can see now in the actual, we're into a doors module here, a doors next module, sorry, and we've got some views assigned on the left-hand side. Sorry for the people at the back, I can't see the bottom, but look to the left and look to the right. Basically, we can pull in the state and default column once we've assigned one, and we can basically move those requirements through within the module through the different states within the workflow. Okay, and lo and behold, what happens then is that we can report on the current state of the actual artifact. Okay, so you can see I'm submitting that for review, and we can just monitor each of those artifacts as they go through those states, basically. Okay, right. Getting quite boring this now, isn't it? Anyway, I think that's finished. It has. Excellent. Just in time. Okay. Said this would be quick, didn't I? Right. I'm not just going to slide you to death. I'm hoping now that I can actually click onto. So what we've actually got here is, if I click on that, wow. So when we talk about those dashboards, and we talk about our reporting strategy, what's the idea here? Well, the benefit of having a strategy is obviously that you know how you're going to build those reporting these reports up on these dashboards. Okay, what we're looking at here is our engineering workflow management tool. Just been told 5 minutes. Okay, this is going to be really quick. Okay, so engineering workflow management tool. So this is where we've got our tasks, our workflow, our work items, defects, issues, risks as well. And what I've done here, as we sort of mentioned earlier on, is I've actually got a nice simple view. We've got an opening screen on here. Basically, this is our landing page for the project. We've got a synopsis of the project. I've got a business mission statement, and these widgets are basically there just to give us some information as a landing point for the project. Okay, we've got some other tabs on here as well. I'm just seeing if I can actually. All right. I've ruined it now, haven't I? Do that. I don't work out where my mouse is. There it is. Quite difficult. Okay, so we've got some different tabs on here. I've got a planning tab. Okay, so we can see now we're in the engineering workflow management tool. We've got things like plans. We've got a breakdown structure there. Okay, we can expand this out. Trying to get that on the right screen, not lose my mouse in the same time. So we can actually interact with these if you're not working on a screen that's quite a long way away from you and not on a trackpad. Okay. Right. Okay. What I'll do is, instead of interacting with it, basically we can click on these bits here. We can expand this out. We can make changes in here as well. So what we're doing here with the dashboard is we are providing information about where we are in the project. This can be used as part of project delivery, and basically checking on how we get on with projects. With the project in terms of the sort of progress, etc. We can do things like put estimate times on there. Okay, and we've got a view across the top, which is how many of these sort of planned items are going to be implemented against a requirement. All right. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're looking at how we're planning our project. The next tab I've created is basically a doing tab, if you like. So we've created these charts which give us a view of where we are. I've broken it down into 3 columns. You can see we've got new work items at the left-hand side, stuff that's in progress, and we've got our naughty step on the right-hand side there for anything that's coming up as being late. Okay, I've not done anything terribly difficult in terms of the reporting of that. Okay, in terms of building that up. Basically, these are all straight out of the box, straight out queries. This is how these are generated. And we can sort of see how we can click on these bits as well, and it'll take us actually into a sort of a view of those requirements of those work items as well. And it's the same for that. It's the same sort of methodology, if you like, for doing this for all of the different applications, so ETM and also Doors Next as well. But basically, we can produce these reports, and these reports can give us that insight and sort of understand where we need to maybe put more resource in. Understand why Matt's late on a couple of work items, etc., etc. Okay. We can also build up a tab which looks specifically at one user's sort of work effort, if you like. So each of these widgets that we've got on here is tied to the current user. So you can have that on the on the project dashboard, and then depending on the user that is in there, those reports will change basically to align to the report the user that's logged in. Okay, and then of course we've got our celebrating bit, which is all the stuff that's done, because we also want to report on when we've completed something. It's not all about the bad news and the what's the issues there. Okay. What I will say is that we've got, I was going to go into the other applications in a little bit more detail, but I'm running out of time, so I'm going to have to move on fairly quickly. I'll move on to the next bit. What I will say is that There is a slight difference in the way we build the reporting up from a querying perspective. So we use what we call queries within EWM to build those reports up. It's quite a nice interface in terms of how those are set up. Doors Next, it's primarily we use Report Builder to put some of those reports on. Maybe I'll just squeeze a little bit of time out. We did start a little bit late. So if we have a look at Doors, okay. There we go. Right, okay. So what have we got on our reporting for Doors? Most people are probably more interested in the requirements side of things. So we've got a requirements analysis. So here we're looking at this is quite a nice report that I like to show each of the modules that we've got on in the system basically, and we're using we've got almost like a progress bar, if you like. So it sees how many requirements are accepted, how many are rejected, etc. We've got our trending information down the right hand side there, and again these reports generated through the report builder. Obviously the ones on the right hand side there using the data warehouse, and we can set what the time scale is on those on when those reports are going to get picked up. Okay. Have a look. Sorry, I'm biting into Amar's time here. One of the reports we built up here is a risk report. Now, basically, what we've got here, most people will have created a tabular report using Report Builder, I'm assuming. But what we're doing here is we're actually colouring these rows. You can colour either just the cell or the entire row, dependent on the value that is in the risk attribute there on the right-hand side. So as we scroll down through that report, basically where you've got a low risk item, it'll turn the row green basically, and that can be quite effective as a reporting method as well. All right. And if I go into, we've got the My Workflow. I'm going to look at so the next thing we've got. I won't go into ETM as we're running out of time. Oh, I know why. Do that. And we're back into the thing. Do that. Okay, we've done that. Okay, so we've had a bit of a view on reporting best practice. We've had a bit of a look at the reporting strategy and about knowing your data and what's required really to sort of make the most of those reporting dashboards. Okay. So that's all standard out the box. If you want to go to extended sort of levels of reporting capabilities, we've got those tools that I mentioned earlier on. So we've got Engineering Insights. What does Engineering Insights give you? So basically, Engineering Insights will give you a way of creating reports such as this one, which is more graphical than the sort of tabular and the graph reports we built with Report Builder. And these are all interactive as well. So when you click on one of the nodes within this particular this element here, it'll highlight and it'll show, and you can build up these reports which will sort of expand out and show that traceability across the different linking structures that you've got in there. You can also change the color of these as well so that it's actually picking up the attribute data as well, so you can get a really nice sort of view of where things are within the actual in terms of attribute data as well. Okay. So the next tool I wanted to talk about was the Engineering Lifecycle Optimization ELO Publisher, nothing to do with the band. Okay, so Publisher, what does Publisher give you? Publisher is an add-on because it's the extended part of it, but what Publisher does is it allows you to create document style templates. So the use case here is if you want to, if you've got handover documentation that you want to do, instead of you having to pull that data out into spreadsheets and build it up into Word documents, you can actually build these templates up that will sort of cross the engineering domain, if you like, and be able to pull that into one module. You can build those reports onto it. You can run those reports directly from ELM, basically, and it can have your own logos on there. It can have your own color schemes and all that kind of good stuff. Okay, so if I go back to the tool there, so just to give you a bit of a view on what, sorry, I keep losing my mouse. There we go. If we go up to, oops, okay. So here, I don't know if anybody's been on this before. Basically, we've got a reporting function on Doors Next. we can go to generate a report. And normally what you would see is you'd see the standard sets of templates that are included with doors as standard, as I say. But you'll notice we've got an extra one in there. We've got an optimized print module book. So what Publisher does is it allows us to add to the templates that are available on there. And if I do this, very difficult for me to see from here, even with my far range glasses on. Okay. Okay, basically what that will do is if I do that, I'm going to add in my stakeholder requirement. I'm just choosing the stakeholder requirement because that's the easiest one for me to see from here. All right, basically, I don't know if anybody's outputted any of those reports previously, but you'll see that it's quite green. It's got a Times Roman font on it, basically. What we can do is we can generate a report. What Publisher is doing basically is it's saying, as we're doing all our work within the environment, okay, within the ELM environment, basically we want a way of being able to output that information without having to manually handle it, okay. All right, we've got more steps in here than I was expecting. There we go. Okay, so the process has started now. So we want a way of pulling that information out. We can run that template at any point we want to, and then it's going to sit there and it's going to, oh, actually it's going quite quickly, which is good because I've totally run out of time. Although we did start quite late, so sorry, Amar. Yeah, sorry, Amar gave me a small financial incentive to go on a little bit longer over lunch. Okay, so whilst that's running, so yeah, I mean the benefit here is that rather than you having to sort of manually handle that information, pull that information out of the tool and export into different applications, basically you can end up with something that looks like an actual document that belongs in your company or organization. You can see it's got our company details on there. It's got a working table of contents. There's no extra work that we need to do, and we can actually tie in some of the information in here into attributes that we've got within the actual within the ELM environment as well, if you so wish. And these reports can actually also show not just doors information or requirements information. We can pull things in like test case information and reporting structures as well. Okay, so yeah, so that's kind of what Publisher gives you in a nutshell. So I apologise for going 7 minutes over my allotted time. But that's basically what I wanted to cover today on the time that I had. I'm going to do that.
Any questions from Matt on public reporting? On silence.
Everyone's asleep, Mark.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that was exactly the soundbite we want. Just keep that for later on. We'll use it as part of our marketing for the next session. So yes, no, I mean hopefully, on my side, yeah, hopefully that's giving you some sort of views of what is actually capable with the tool. I know we've got some new doors users in the room as well, so having that sort of insight into what you can get out with the tool will be hopefully of use to you. But I'm going to stop talking now and let Mark. Oh, we got a question from Wilbur. Yeah.
When you procure those things,
Yeah.
Does it automatically come with Jazz?
Yes. Yeah. So the Jazz reporting services is server is actually part of the application itself. So it's a standard part of the capability, and it allows you to build 90% of the reports that we've built that I've shown on that screen, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Question at the back there from Ed. He's coming in hot.
Hi. Is the test manager, is that ETM?
Yes.
Is that part of the same ELM tool set as well?
Absolutely, yes.
And the reports can be similarly put together in that as well?
Yes, I had a complete slide deck. If I'd have had 3 hours, I could have gone into that for you. But yeah, basically, ETM's got its own dashboards as well. You can build the reports up from there. We call these things BERT reports, basically, so you can see a view of your sort of the different test effort across the process. You can also build the reports up through the report builder as well, and you can show those traceability sort of matrices as well. So going from your requirements through your test, through the work items as well. So yeah.
And how easy is it to integrate your database with data warehouse with, for example, if you've got customers with their own ELM tool sets, trying to connect those together and make a bridge across, obviously in a secret environment. More of a challenge.
If they've got it, yeah, well, let's take the party liners. It's a bit more challenging, but I don't understand. I guess we have to understand the full scope of it and where those servers are. But if it's OSLC, you should be able to tie in those reporting capabilities across anything you can hook in with you through OSLC, basically. Yeah, that'll be another one we'll have to sit down and have a cup of tea over maybe and have a chat through it. Okay. Anything else? Another question? Yes, excellent. Yeah.
Thanks. Hello. Yeah, so we're using Doors Classic.
Yep.
Do you have to create OSLC links to the reporting service?
Good question.
Okay, I'll chat to you later then. Yeah. Which we do. Okay, thanks.
Excellent. Any more for any more? Yes.
When you've got doors next generation.
Yep.
Do you then just gone drawing blanks. When you've got doors next generation,
yeah,
do you then have I'll pass.
do you want it? It's the microphone. I'm exactly the same man goes blank.
Just
It'll come back to you. Grab me with a cup of coffee.
on.
Grab me with a cup of coffee, and then let's have a chat in a while. Will. Okay. Right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Sorry for totally blowing your budget.
Don't worry,
Sam?
that's fine.
Oh, man, I'll get that up there.
Okay, delighted to welcome Amar from Talent Technology Services. Been working together a long time now, haven't we, Amar? So
Yeah, it's on the slide somewhere, yeah.
yeah, he's going to tell us how their journey on the ELM tools and how they've been using them over the times. So welcome, Amar.
Thank you. Right, microphone's working? Yep. Right, hello everyone, I'm Amar Dillon. I work for a company called Talent Technology Services. Hopefully I won't put any of you to sleep. There's a corporate video in there somewhere, which is apocalyptic. It's great. There we go. That's me. Actually, I've worked in the defense sector before I came to Talent. I've been a Doors user since 2010, Doors Classic through the defense sector. I've worked for companies who have gone all in on the full tool set. I've worked with even the rational publishing engine, which is a precursor to some of this, so making some of the templates and all that kind of stuff, all before I came here to Talent. And Talent's been on its own journey along the way. My job title is Head of Engineering Assurance. No one in the company knows what it means, neither do I, in all honesty. I sit between loads of our programs and oversee what we do. And I have a host of other kind of responsibilities as well. And I'm working towards my Incozy CSEP if I find the time. And sorry, I can't make it to your training course next week. Actually, I have planned for you on my site next week, so I'm meeting with them. So that's me, and I've got a couple of my colleagues here. I'm going to throw them under the bus as well. I've got Joe, who starts off our life cycle, I suppose, with the requirements engineering, and Shaheen, who's kind of our lead for test management. And so now Joe's going to present. I'm not going to throw you under the bus like that. But between us, we kind of represent the whole of the life cycle. And we've got quite a challenge in Talent. So just very quickly, I'm going to tell you about who we are. Some of you were actually at our site a few years ago when we hosted. A lot's changed. I'm just going to talk about kind of what we need from the tool set, what we kind of expect from it, what our customers need us to do, our history with Doors within Talent, a bit of our vision of where we're going with it and some of the challenges we face and the challenge we're putting out there coming forward. So, Talent and M Group. So, lots of nice corporate words there. We're quite an interesting organisation. Most of you probably never heard of us. There was some bit of analysis done by a consultancy company that said the average person comes into contact with our technology 15 times in a day. So you'd probably be very shocked that just the reach we have. So we class ourselves as a critical national infrastructure provider. I think by the time we get to the end of this, you might probably agree. But if it's digital infrastructure for nationally important kind of enterprises, we're involved there. And I'd say some of the stuff we do is probably not so important. There is a great project I'd like to point out where we 5G enabled a herd of cows. I didn't know there was such a thing as a cow Fitbit. I heard about that project and I was flummoxed. So we get involved in all kinds of stuff. Apparently it was of some national interest. Comms Council UK and Tech UK funded it. I'm still confused by it, but we've done it. We work across a whole load of sectors. So utilities, defence, government, education. We work with service providers, so your Virgin Media O2s and the like. And we are right across the UK. We are in Scotland, Wales, Ireland, and here. And we've got really great relationships with those of our customers. And with that comes an expectation of quality. And so we lean on tools like ELM very heavily. So there you go. That's kind of teases some of our programs in there. So we've got the likes of Hinkley Point. We do transport infrastructure. Some of you probably depended on TfL assets coming here. We did a lot. We do a lot in TfL. We've got a site here in central London. If the train stopped working, that's not us. Don't blame me. We've got a pretty good reliability rate. We're very proud of that. It's an interesting experience, but we deal with all kinds of transportation and infrastructure. And I think I'm going to try and go quickly to catch up with time. And we cover the whole life cycle. So largely myself, Joe, and Shaheen, we're really kind of focused in on those design cycles, getting something into service, proving it'll do what we say it should. But we also do full through life support over decades. So our expectations from our customers are massively important. Being able to evidence it robustly, through using tools like Test Manager to be able to provide the evidence to our customer that what they want our tools to provide, it's there. We cannot afford to fall over. And in fact, so here's just an example of some of our customers. I think a couple are represented here in the room even. So National Highways, we're doing the National Road Transformation Contract 2 and now 3 soon to come out, which we're bidding on. We've done the new campus network for the University of Bristol, largest academic campus outside of North America, 300 buildings. We're currently rolling that out. Ambulance radio program. So we're replacing the radios in every single ambulance in the country. If that system goes down, yeah, we're in trouble. Greater Manchester Combined Authority connecting, I think it's about a dozen local kind of small authorities into a single massive network. Hinkley Point, fairly important, and we recently announced we're going in on Sizewell. We provide all kinds of systems into there, from Parva, CCTV, alarms. We provide the processing capability, network rail. We cover the entire country. We cover various regions, everything from comms infrastructure to even station systems. So, there are call points and the screens you see that give you your information. Virgin Media O2, Parliament, we provide the network for the ministers on site. So security really up there, safety really up there. And our ability to evidence it all from end to end is critical. Some of the sectors are really mature in their understanding and they work in ways that really reflect, the rigor of how we need to deliver. Some procurement professionals on the side, because sometimes it is procurement professionals, aren't that mature and we have to take them on that journey. And then just say as well, we're partners with a number of organizations where Cisco Gold, Juniper, Elite, and it gives us access to them to be able to say, you know what, we've got a problem, and they'll actually answer us rather than some other providers. So just a little bit of history, like a whole host of companies, we can trace our history back to Marconi. I'm pretty sure half of the country's engineering companies seem to be able to do that. But so we take credit of being around since, 1874. In 2006, Talent spun off as its own company. And for the next decade or so, it was lots of buying up of smaller companies and growth, taking on more and more markets. And it was quite a journey through those years. We also launched our own cybersecurity wing, which does work for loads of our customers and loads of other businesses. And last year we were bought by M Group. I'll talk about them a little bit more here. Now for the slightly apocalyptic video. Let's see if it will play.
The pulse of our nation begins beating before most of us have even opened our eyes. A complex chain of events is invisibly playing out. A symphony of technological systems working in harmony that we rarely stop to notice as we start our day. But what if it all stopped? Imagine a day without our always-ready emergency services, without transport networks linking our communities, without trains carrying commuters to their destinations, without the networks keeping us unified and secure, without the public services able to connect with citizens. Every day, leaders behind the scenes face an ongoing struggle. The weight of delivering flawless public services with fewer resources grows heavier by the moment. Each decision is under scrutiny, and public services grow increasingly dependent on technology and IT infrastructure. That's why a specialist technology services partner is crucial for success. At Talent, we stand with the unsung heroes, the decision makers tasked with achieving more with less. We empower them with confidence, grounded in our unmatched expertise and trusted advice. Delivering innovative technology solutions for critical national infrastructure. From better, safer, stronger public services to more efficient, sustainable and transformative solutions. Our technology keeps the UK and Ireland connected and protected. These services aren't just something we all depend on. We live through them, breathe through them, and thrive because of them. Talent. Talent with technology.
Hugely apocalyptic. Yes, okay. No, most of those weren't real news stories, thankfully. And within Talent, we actually deliver around about 240 projects in every given year. So, you know, for us, being able to manage that across our teams across the country, it's a massive challenge and across all the sectors. So last year we were bought by a company called M Group. I think you'd probably be shocked about them as well. I mean, they cover a whole host of areas. The people who come around with your electricity and gas meters, Mawson's Technical Services, that's part of M Group. They own a company which again is all being rebranded in, which clears snow off the runways in the airports when it's been snowing. Loads of utilities work, massive regions of OpenReach and city fiber networks that connect to your house. It's absolutely incredible what they do. I hadn't heard of them as well. So two companies who hadn't heard of each other, turns out we're kind of critically important to the company, to the country. So really happy to be on that journey with them. I think it's a great match. And look, we've got about 13,000 people. Actually, when you look at our subcontractors, it's something 20-odd thousand in there. And so Talent are becoming part of their telecoms technology division. And you can probably tell from kind of those just areas, yeah, you're all going to be dependent on us to some degree. So all that to say, it's an exciting time, and we really, really do depend on our ability to deliver quality using our tool sets with a surprisingly small number of people for the reach and coverage in an absolutely robust way. So all that to say, it also makes my job quite interesting because I'm meant to sit over lots of these projects, and one day I'll be in a meeting about how do we put communications equipment into an ambulance and what are the standards for it. I did not need to read a standard on the materials we use in case of blood going into it or vomit and the diseases that it can all carry. But the radios can interfere with the heart monitors on the ambulance, and it has killed people in the past. So being able to put that information in the hands of the engineers, what matters to them, and sometimes it's well, we've done, fire services vehicles. There's a marginally different requirement here, and getting that to the engineers as they're doing the design is so important. We cannot afford to mess up. So a little bit about what is needed then. So from our customers, I mean, the markets and sectors we're dealing in, it's no secret, everyone's quite risk adverse. There is a really high expectation of quality. One person dying is a news incident, right? Because they're quite often beholden to the public purse, they need high levels of control over the project. They need to be able to report on it all. A lot of them got proven methods that they are absolutely wedded to. Quite often those standards might be written in blood, especially across the rail sector. It is we need to be doing things this way because here's where it's gone wrong before. And there's an increasing requirement. Right now, I know next month the wiring regulations are going to change. So all of a sudden, power over Ethernet devices are now covered by domestic wiring regulations. What's that going to mean for our projects that are halfway through that now need to change how they're doing everything? And it is a massive challenge to keep on doing that. However, the public purse is becoming more and more stretched. It's getting more and more challenging as more and more things happen in the world. What they're actually asking for is, well, we want lower cost. Okay, that's an interesting challenge. They want agility to be able to respond to all of those things. And quite often they're working with those smaller teams. They want to do more with the people they have. And so that leads to kind of market forces that are trying to push them to change. And we need to be able to use more digital methods, more modern tooling to deliver that. And part of that challenge is in the battle between the two, it's that risk adversity that keeps on winning. We are going on this journey. We are working with our customers. We are showing how more modern methods can work. Personal opinion, if we don't start working more dynamically and more quickly, that public purse is going to become more stretched. More and more preventative maintenance is going to get pushed back. More and more control is going to kind of be lost. And actually, we're going to see a slow degrade. So it's a challenge for Telent as a company and M Group as a company to make sure actually we don't end up in a state of continual decline. So then, well, that's what our customers expect of us, but what do we want from our tooling? Right. Well, I've very broadly put it into kind of 6 categories: security, quality, flexibility, change in configuration control, ease of use, and workflow integration to try and deliver some of those things. So on security, unsurprisingly, we do all of this work across so many sectors. We have to absolutely protect our customer data. We have to actually protect our designs. I can't have someone logs in and they can see Houses of Parliament data. I can't have them seeing, some of the work we do in the defence sector. That's just absolutely not allowable. And not only that, we have to be able to recover for if there is ever an incident. On quality, we've got best practices that we've written. We've got ways that we work. We've got our customers' best practices. We need to be able to do that. We need to be able to do our defect tracking if there is issues. And look, I think probably everyone in the room has to meet ISO 9000, which has a whole host of requirements on all of us. Because of the number of sectors we work at, and they all have different ways of working, we need to have that kind of flexibility and adaptability of our tool set. We need to be able to have that change control and management. Ease of use is incredibly important when you have so many different people, and sometimes you've got customers who need to get familiar with your tool set, and them getting in there and getting frightened off is not acceptable. There's a term which is administrative anxiety. It's used in government when people need to do a task, and it might be a really simple thing, but if they meet resistance of they're being overwhelmed, it's just going to get put back. It might be a 5-minute job, but they log in, they see a massive DWP form or something, it's going to get put off and pushed back. So that's a challenge. And also workflow integration. Part of the challenge in a lot of sectors is you're constantly handing over documents and things get lost in config and control. We might have a 300-page contract that's got dozens of processes in there, and documents kind of disappear out into a void and through controllers and everything else. We need it to be more robust than that. It wouldn't be an engineering talk without some three-letter acronyms. So we want return in investment in time, cost, and quality for us and our customers. If we can't bring in a tool that gives us that, then it's almost irrelevant, right? So our history with doors and ELM. So in Talent, we've kind of had three major evolutionary steps. So around 2015 was when our relationship with yourself started. It was Doors Classic. We were using it on a few of our projects. Around 2020, we moved on to the SaaS-based ELM, and we started to use the test manager and the workflow manager in a bit of anger on some of our programs. And then last year, we migrated to an on-prem model. I say on-prem, it's actually hosted out of our own cloud environment, thanks to the help of the Optimize team. They were very patient with us because last year was also the year we were bought out. It was chaos and carnage, having to go through the approvals of the new company right at our procurement point. I think some of the team were working at ridiculous hours of night, so I do have to say thank you and recognize them for that. Because we had to migrate a live environment, and we actually, our fault, had to take it down, and it took about another month for our IT team to get through security and everything else, and the team really helped us, so thanks to them for that. So just a little bit more on the story. So legacy doors, we had it. It was pushed by our customer. You will use doors. This is how we're going to do requirements. And we had a couple of really good power users who were driving it, who worked on high safety systems. They understood it absolutely intuitively. They really, really supported it, and they understood the principles. And I'm going to recognize this. Some of our customers are still using legacy doors. They're in that requirement space. They haven't got the test management. They haven't got everything else. I credit to Jo. She's having to backwards skill onto legacy doors, and I think that's been an interesting experience for herself. And look, in the defense sector, we'd invested a heck of a lot of time in my past employers on the DXL scripting that gave you some of that capability within doors. Leadership are like kind of saying, well, we've got the tool. It does what we want. If we change, there's going to be risk. There's going to be challenge. We're going to have to reinvest. We're going to have to retrain. And it is a challenge to adoption, no doubt. What I would say is, having been in organizations that have used various iterations, the extended functionality, we are finding it valuable because, well, in the messy middle, so around the time of COVID, one of our projects decided to completely re-baseline, and we're going to do everything better. We're going to do it more in a more modern way. So we're going on to SaaS. They completely retook all of their requirements, replanned. They started using the workflow manager and the test manager, and the leadership of that project go around saying, use doors, it's amazing. It helped us dig out of a hole. And that's great. Unfortunately, we've got so many projects. I mean, they range from £50,000 up to 50 million a year. It is a challenge, so you do end up with these silos. We are still getting a lot of adoption being driven by our customers, but we are starting to go to them and say, look, here's how we do things. Here's how it can work. The leadership buy-in was starting to grow, converting those hearts and minds on the ground floor, which is probably going to be a challenge so many people are going to face. It takes time. In fact, I've had a PM say this, it's another thing to do. It's more work. It's an extra challenge. I've got a couple of hints on that as well. But we started to form a strategy of actually, here's what we need from our tool set. Here's where it's going to go. Here's how we're going to leverage it to do great things. What we are very rapidly realizing is that we can show and tell around the business, and we can promote the changes, but sometimes actually it doesn't need to come from the market force. It comes from lots of people kind of showing, here's how it works. That's kind of the purpose of days like this, I suppose, that we kind of share these positive messages. So I'm going to do a very quick diversion onto how I got, or how we got other projects on board. So myself and Jo, we actually had a interesting meeting with a group of our project managers. Translating it to them is an interesting challenge because requirements management sounds like this other thing. Well, actually, it's good project management. right? You need to say to people, here's what you're doing. You need them to say, here's where I'm going to answer it in a document. You need them to say, here's where I'm going to test it, and here's the evidence I'm going to give. Good requirements management is actually just good project management, really. It's just we're calling it different things. And so myself and Joe, we had a session with them, I think it was in January. And actually, we stuck to the message that they needed to hear. When you first go to doors and you click around a lot, it's very quickly overwhelming. It seems very complicated. And we showed them a few views. That's it. This is the PM job. Here's what you need to do. Here's how easy it can be. Oh, by the way, you can get your daily email of your reports out of it. You can get the burn down. You can say who made what changes and who committed to doing what piece of activity. Great. And I knew we won when a project manager said, actually, it's more important that we use this on the small pieces of work. I was trying to convince them of we had to use it on the medium and large projects, but they were like, no. On the small ones is where we need these controls because change can cost us everything. At that point, it's a, right, the challenge isn't there anymore. Their next set of questions went to, so what resource have I got? How do I book them? Oh, by the way, that's already been planned in by your chief engineers. It's 50% overhead, 50% booked projects. That person is there for you to use. And then went straight to what can be done. And we've started rolling out internal training to those people. But PMs were then on board. One of our projects is now even going to manage all of its risks in ELM. They're going to put more of the workflow items in there. They have jumped in with both feet. So to have that success was quite wonderful, but it was about translating it into the ways they speak. So today, we have mandated adoption across the company on all of our new projects that meet a medium and large and risk criteria. We're hosted out of our own environment now. We're no longer on the SaaS. Again, thanks to Optimize for helping us with all of that. And ownership and management is now centralized. Before it was being bought and managed under individual agreements. Now it all kind of comes through me. I manage how we're going to go, how we're going to evolve it over time, what our token purchases are going to be. I think at one point we made, I think, 3 purchases in 1 year from different projects, and it was a mess. But now I can coordinate that, manage it, and take it forward. We're applying a real defense in depth approach, because now that it's under our control, we can do a bit more. Security teams are having a whale of a time. I'll go into that a bit more later, but we are actually, good course, we are now planning for if there is ever a breach, because nowadays it seems like there will be a breach one day. So I'm fully expecting to have my security team turn up in the next couple of months and just go, right, we're going to now pretend there's been a breach. Can you show me how you can investigate this? Okay, great fun. They are on my case, I think probably weekly. I think the Optimize team had some fun answering my security guys' questions. He's an interesting experience. It's absolutely the right thing to do, but all of our organizations are being challenged by it right now. And you know, at the moment, we're in a really locked down setup, but we're about to permit our first external users, so our customer can log in, and on our workflows, they can click approve, and it applies that they've approved something. That means we're not handing them documents anymore, and then they're handing it back, and it goes through loops of exports and controls. It has been a massive step forward. That project where I spoke about, you know, they saw those quick successes. They have representatives of their customer witnessing the test, and while they're witnessing the test and the evidence is going in ETM, they click approve there and then. No out and in, no arguments. Defects are raised live on the test scripts, and it all gets agreed and sentenced. Just being able to close that loop has massively accelerated things. And we're planning for the enhanced functionality, some of which we've heard about today. I'm particularly interested in some of it, so we might end up having more discussions. But the reality is that a rapidly changing landscape is proving painful for adoption. Partly that's our company changing landscape. That's also partly external factors. Being hosted in the cloud, I'm sure everyone's seeing their cloud costs absolutely balloon at the moment. That's an interesting challenge in itself, but that's where we are today. So the vision of where we're taking ELM is where I see the real growth. So we talked about the core application. There's the Doors Next, Test Manager, and Workflow Manager, right? That's the core bit of the ELM. If I had to be pushed, I'd say, well, on Doors and Test Manager, we have processes we've written. We have ways we can take teams through it. We have kind of our ways of working. We've got demonstrable places where it's achieved success. Great. And that's just the first steps on the journey. Workflow Manager, we've got a couple of projects using it. It's really hard to create those workflows that work for all of our different customers. A bit like was being said earlier, it's hard to make agents that work for all customers for IBM. For us, it's hard to create the workflows that work for every single one of our customers. So it's probably not easy to create an SOP for that, but we can start to template and replicate where we can. We can migrate lessons learned across sectors. So there's some real potential there, and we need to flesh that out more. But then there's the extended suite, and this is where we are now that we're on the new token agreement of what we're looking to do. So the integration hub, that's been part of our agreement since September. I have a queue of integrations to be made. I need to get it installed. I've got stakeholders who are going through a bit of design activity. So PlanView, who are the partner who worked with IBM to create it, they've already picked up the phone and said, hey, we can help you out with that as well. So, it's great. IBM and PlanView are working together to really make it a reality. I think there's a huge amount of gain to be had from that. Then there's the publishing engine and the global config manager. So unsurprisingly, with so much kind of fracture in the work we do, it's hard to find products that historically would be reused. Every customer likes to think they're unique and everything else, but you know what? Maybe we could have a design for, say, a train station or an IoT hub, and then we can adapt it and branch it to a different station or a different location, to a different size of facility. So we could actually start taking config branches and versioning there. The publishing engine, so we got a very brief kind of demo of it there. As I said, I worked with the previous iteration of it back in 2014. Being able to get your document and click a button in your requirements there, and it drops out into your design document template with here's the traceability table at the back, here's the mapping. My engineers are no longer going to be complaining about putting the requirements here or putting it there. In fact, I need to check, does the new version still allow you to get from your Rhapsody model onto the document? Because the next step is, I want engineers doing their design in Rhapsody, because then you get to the point when you can click publish, and it generates your design document and your traceability all in one. And you can branch and change in your Rhapsody model. I have that vision. It's going to be a long journey to get there. I have engineers who are trying to do TOGAF models in PowerPoint. I have to go and wrestle them. There is one particular voice in the company who says, well, everyone has PowerPoint and they can all use it. And I gave them a little telling off. We do have people who are all behind me and saying, we're not doing that. That is absolutely bonkers. So we do have Rhapsody built into our agreement as well. Turning around a company of this complexity inside, it's taking time, but we will get there. And lastly, kind of the AI and automation pieces. Our new owner company, they've got their own AI. So hearing that we might be able to plug in their AI, it's called Maggie, and I can never remember what that stands for. Being able to plug that in would probably be of huge interest to them. But then also kind of some of the other automation parts we can look at. I think, was it last year or year before, we saw the automated test builder? Not having to write out 1,000 test scripts, instead of just generating from the Rhapsody model. I would love to be able to do that. We're not there yet. And also just for me, some level of portfolio management across my 100-odd projects, trying to maintain visibility at any moment is very painful. Having consistency in metrics or having a consistent understanding is challenging. At any given time, I don't know if one of our products is out there and it's being risky. So if IBM could work some magic of somehow, that'd be great. But that's it. So another cultural step we're going on is, and this is part of the integration hub journey, is putting requirements at the heart of everything we do. It was kind of mentioned earlier, you start with the requirements. So that's the idea. We'll have ELM in the middle of lots of acronyms, knowledge management, product lifecycle management, project and portfolio management, business intelligence, IT service or asset management, our customer relationship management tools. It all needs to kind of relate back to the requirements of what we're being asked. But there needs to be a dose of reality on that. I would love for them all to be working in ELM, using the workflow manager, having the plans and everything. It's not going to happen. We can be honest about that. I'm not going to convert project managers or business development people into there. And I just want to highlight one thing. As soon as you're exporting it to Excel and people are starting to play around with Excel, it undermines the reality of all of your tool set. And then you're change controlling and managing the Excels, and people say, well, why should I be in that tool when we can change control and manage this other thing? It is painful. So just a kind of a simplified version of kind of where we're going. So that's the suite of tools we have at the bottom, and you've got the integration hub there. So, you know, opportunity lands in Salesforce or a change. It automatically goes into your MS project or whichever other PM tool you're using. God, the spread of PM tools we use as well is maddening. You know, it gets your document states from SharePoint, so no document controllers constantly managing and maintaining that. Ideally, Document Builder drops the design out there, and it's all nice. I'm very, very hopeful about what I can achieve. And then, you know, our software team is Zero DevOps, so the requirements can be constantly married. Some of our customers like using Remedy, Helix, some like using ServiceNow, so we end up using both for asset management. But that's the idea. We can just work in the ELM tool set, and using the integration hub, we can interface with every tool, whichever one our customer prefers, whichever one is needed on a localized agreement. Ideally, and I think this kind of hints to what someone else said, oh, we would love to be able to integrate with Oracle. I'm not sure if that's available in there. Probably half of us use Oracle, half probably use SAP. I'm sure that would be very helpful if we could do that. But then integrating out to a customer tool. So I do requirements work, I click release, they log in, they see the requirements, they click approve, and it goes out to their requirements repository. That would be a utopia. I can do something and it goes there. My security team are having absolute meltdown over the concept of it, but I'm going to get there with them. So right now we're designing our first interfaces and they're already asking questions. It's a journey. So just say the challenge, first thing I would say, a lesson learned, plan enough time for your migration, add 50%, listen to the optimized team. Like I think we put them under the cosh quite a bit because of our delays and the whole migration. 50%. Most people don't need to add 50%. I think we were in a special level of chaos at the time. Getting our new owners to approve a purchase for a tool they had never heard of was interesting. And we moved from a 1-year to a 3-year agreement, and we went all in on expanding the scope. So that was an interesting challenge. And again, thanks to the team, they put in the effort, and they also, you know, listened patiently to my security person. And then, I mean, that's probably going to be the next lesson. So last year, around the time this was happening, there was the Jaguar Land Rover and Marks and Spencer's issues. So my boss is actually a gentleman called Nick Mohan. He's former group global engineering director for Jaguar. So he had his friends kind of telling him about what life was like at Jaguar. The chairman of our new owners, M Group, is a gentleman called Archie Norman. He's also chairman of Marks and Spencer's. So all of a sudden, cybersecurity is really important to everyone, and that caused all manner of questions. Just last week, I'm not sure if you saw this, Lloyd's, you know, and the banking group, they had customer data being shown to each other. Anyone who's got an account in company's house, check that your details weren't changed by someone else. I happen to be on there, and you know, so suddenly everyone's asking the question. So software-based security separation of your projects. What? Oh, please don't ask me. That's going to be a whole load of fun. And look, like many of our organizations, we're getting the NCSC alerts. We are seeing increased traffic. Literally, I don't know, yesterday there was loads of phishing attempts at our company. Get your security team on board really early. Take them on the journey with you. And you are going to be asked more questions as something else goes horribly wrong in the world and someone comes to you and says, what's going on? We have locked down our environment quite heavily. Trying to get external users in has been a challenge. I've ended up talking to the global IT lead of one of our partners, a gentleman over in America, and I was explaining, look, here's why we want to put in this level of security controls. Once I got through to that person, after 3 weeks of delays, they're like, okay, yep, great. And end of the day, I had what I needed and we could enable access. But it's about getting to those right people. And I think lastly, my main kind of takeaway point is we need to get kind of broader market adoption. We need to be sharing these lessons. these more modern ways of working, whether it's IBM ELM and sharing designs and collaborating is really key for unlocking success. If the market moves, we all move. If we are working in the modern ways, in line with the same standards, INCOSE has been mentioned a few times. By the way, anyone who wants to be involved in INCOSE, I'm actually working towards the CSEP at the moment, but an awful lot of the information is available in the Systems Engineering Handbook Wiki, SEBOK Wiki. That's a wealth of information, and some of our SOPs aligns really nicely with that. But it means we're talking the same language as each other. And I would say, there's a real potential to grow together. And there's kind of a little kind of takeaway. So I'm not sure how aware you are of the way things kind of work in China. So there's a gentleman, Jim Farley. He's the CEO of Ford. In fact, this is just last week. He went to China and came back and he was amazed by their factories. What a lot of people don't realize is actually he went there back in 2018, 2019, and they just showed him the factories. And he goes, well, why are you showing me this? He goes, well, we compete on the cars. If I do this and you do this, we're all going to get better and we're going to push each other harder. And now you go to those Chinese brands they've advanced ahead. They're sharing the methods. The products are the products, and you can compete, but that's where you see real growth. If we all kind of work together. Oh, no, wrongly. And I would just say, just don't be afraid to try something new. Moving to the integrations, I have pretty high confidence that within them, I think my initial estimations are in the first 5 integrations, we will offset the entire cost of it. And that's not just of the integration hub, that's our entire IBM environment. Even if I was going to be, and we've got enough tokens for, I think, 25 integrations, even if I spent half of them and got that return, the other half is just all there. We've had one project where we've worked collaboratively with a customer around a tool called QGIS for doing fiber designs. And by changing methods and working collaboratively, by moving lessons learned from other sectors to that customer, with half the team in a third of the time, we're able to do the same amount of work. And we've accelerated massively. There's a risk, but if we all move together and we kind of work together in an open and collaborative way, where security clearances and everything allow you, obviously, there is a lot to be gained. And all that to say, thank you very much. I think I've kept within time. Yeah, I got a little nod from the back. Any questions about our experiences? Yes.
You mentioned about hearts and minds and
Yeah.
getting people to go with you. How did you do that?
I'd be lying if I said it's complete and that we finished. Sometimes some of our projects have moved because, quite frankly, they've ended up in such a mess they've kind of had to. And that's a challenge, right? Because if you're coming in when things are already under pressure, it's twice as much fight. Everyone's already trying to do containment. That's not going to happen. As I kind of said, with the project managers, we're talking the project manager's language. And look, it's not that you're going to lose control or that anything else is going to happen. What we're trying to do and what you're trying to do is the same thing. It's not me versus you. I'm not trying to force this on you. You know what? If our engineers are doing this work properly here, then that's great. And then that'll feed you the information. And for now, you'll be able to just pull a report. Eventually, when you get the integration hub, your project plan updates instantly. Engineers put in a risk and it appears in your risk register, right? And we don't want to keep on jumping out, logging into each other's tools. We don't want to have to learn a million different tools. Everyone has their preferred tools. Great. Our engineers will do their engineering and you will be fed the project management information. And it's kind of seamless like that. And once they understood that we were trying to help them as well as do our own thing, they kind of started to get converted and say, look, when I'm doing this, it's going to give you that change control, that configuration, those things that are a pain to you today, it's going to give you those things if you just trust us. That trust is slow to build. There is no magic bullet, it is deep cultural change. A few proponents who really, really push it is great. Be able to provide them support. So for Jo, we send her to loads of projects and she kind of gets subjected to their requests quite a lot. But providing that support is really key. As engineers, we are great at speaking deep engineering language and refocusing on our problems. The number of times I had to tell an engineer to stop saying the words continuum or you know, we need a specific ontology for this. That does not help anything. Do not use that language. Be accessible. But yeah.
So you used kind of early adopters.
Yes.
Did you set up like mini training and things and coaching? Or how did you get kind of the practicality of them doing it?
I mean, our earliest adopters were on, you know, the Doors Classic kind of thing, where, if I'm going to be quite honest, you know, it's intuitive. It's you know, a nice, easy table. You can do it through fairly simple kind of training. The more modern course, the more modern tool. Well, we've got an introductory little training course that one of our internal L&D people has helped us generate using an online tool. Then I send Joe to go and train people. We lock them away. They each have accounts. And she shows them, you know, I think a few of our people have done the optimized training as well for our power users. But yeah, like Joe will sit there with everyone out there on their laptops in a demo project and just take them through the workflow, which is an interesting experience. And it's challenging when there's someone get a bit lost in the tool. You know, that ease of use it's maybe a bit of a dense tool for a lot of users. So just taking them on those simple steps really helps.
Thank you.
Matt. Right, good afternoon. You'll be pleased to hear that we are into the last bit of today. The drinks are on the way. Okay. The whole idea of this panel session is to grill these guys further. So if you didn't want to get your questions in earlier on, you've got another opportunity to. But also with, you know, it's an opportunity for you guys to speak up as well. When we first came up with this concept to the ELM user group, and not user group, sorry, ELM user day, it was all about getting as much feedback from you guys, the users, the people who work with the tools, feeding that back into IBM, and for you guys to get some communication about where the tools are going. And I think I think from an optimized perspective, Harry, Jim, the roadmap and stuff that you gave earlier on, fantastic. It's for us, it gives us a really good opportunity to go out to these guys and say, look, this is what you could have. So yeah, so it's very much for that.
Doors is not dead.
And apparently Doors is not dead.
It's been documented in the comic here. So.
Yeah. Amazing, David Lewis. Thank you very much. So yeah, so the way we work the panel session, for those of you that have not been here before, well, I've got a few questions that I'm going to ask the panelists. Some of these I've taken out through the day. Some of them were put together beforehand. But obviously, if you guys have got any questions you want to ask these guys further, if I think it's, you know, put your hand up, and we'll go through that and we'll work it through. Okay. So, in no particular order, our fine set of panelists here. I will look at some of these questions. I'm going to start with Amar because you basically did the last presentation, and I've got to say there was some. I found myself nodding at some of the points that you raised.
My name.
No, I thought Stuart had actually come in and pinched my question, so I've had to rephrase it a little bit. PM, the project management, we know that with the tools. Been in the same position myself, I know how difficult it is to move people away from Primavera, Microsoft, you know, and other well-known project management tools. Who's next on the Talent ELM rollout and hit list, basically? Which parts of the organisation are you really going to be hitting with and sort of preaching the tools to?
So if I'm going to be honest, I'm still trying to get through all the engineers. I'm still trying to get through all of our various schools. I mean, we're such a varied organisation. Trying to hit every corner and get buy-in of every kind of silo that exists and break those boundaries is a challenge. And we've got some partners and customers on some of our programs. You know, we're having to take them on that journey as well. We had one project with a large organisation, I'll say. They weren't even used to working with the idea of an RTM or VVRM. And so we're like, look, here's the first baseline. That's our components. And then look, then you're going to get another one. That's going to tell you what you know, even taking our customers on that journey and working across so many, that is a slow, deep cultural change. Our procurement people, as soon as I said to them, oh, look, we'll put all the requirements here and we'll just tag the ones for flow down. They're like, you can just give me all the flow down requirements? Like, yeah, you just run the filter. They were sold almost instantly. They was like, you're gonna, so we don't have to read through loads of contracts. No, we'll just do it at once. Great. You know, I think once we started to get that buy-in, and once you kind of hit a critical mass, we are engineer heavy. You know, about half of our revenue comes from projects, the other half comes from services, and they're in, you know, the other tools, which are IT service management and asset management. With them, it's a look, you know, you work in your tool, we work in our tool. You know what? They're spending labor on the exports, imports, so they can kind of just not be bothered by us anymore. They're like, you're going to stop annoying us, great. It's wonderful. Get the integration going. It's not a challenge of internal so much, or you know, hitting specific communities. It's taking the market, and that is painful. I mean, you know, even just within your own organisation takes time.
Yeah, I mean, that moves on quite nicely onto the next question I was going to chuck in your direction, really, which was about how you're finding sort of the more traditional. There's been a big drive towards digital transformation, hasn't there, over a number of years throughout, you know, throughout the scope that we see in terms of the engineering domains. But, you know, those more traditional engineering companies, are you still finding there's challenges around that? Or, you know, how do you approach, where you've got a customer that's, you know, that's not the way we do it, we want a document handing over, how do you handle that?
I mean, with most of our customers, they expect a kind of white glove service, you know, always a Rolls Royce experience, big, you know, national interest, all that kind of thing. But in reality is they've got a Nando's budget.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, they want the Michelin star, but steadily that they are creaking. And troublingly, what we're seeing is it's when they get to crisis that they suddenly realize the system's about to break. Our customers do have a lot of power in our agreements. They've got pretty much all the weight. They write the contracts. They push us the way they like working, where they're comfortable. And we've met them there now. We are starting to see these trouble, you know, these institutions starting to say, you know what, the world's changing so much. We've got risks. I mean, current, you know, supply chain issues are causing carnage. You know, processing, cloud hosting causing carnage. They're starting to recognize they have to do things better. And we're starting to put those case studies out there. Look, here's where we sped up. Here's where we can do things better. We will understand your why. We understand, you know, that's the process you've had. We understand that's what you're trying to avoid, and we'll embody what you're trying to avoid in the new way of working as well. You know, we recognize that you are going to potentially have people dying, you know, sometimes lots of people, or, you know, massive risks to your organizations. You don't want to appear on BBC News, neither do we. You know, we'll go on that journey together. You can trust us to not want to take that risk, because I don't want to stand on the dock. Mm-hmm. You know, it is that simple. Yeah.
Thank you. Question for our IBMers. I'm going to go to the other side of the panel now. Okay. Look at the pensive looks there. AI Hub, you know, it's looking like it's going to be phenomenal in terms of the way these tools can be adopted by, you know, this group of engineers and maybe future engineers as well. So it's a really great foundation to sort of stand on there. In terms of, I think we mentioned it early on, right at the beginning of the day, about getting the feedback in about those AI agents. There's the capability there for people to write their own. So, I mean, what kind of support, what's the mechanism there for around getting people up to speed with the tools? Have you got anything sort of you'd like to sort of share with us on that in terms of how we brace our engineers for AI Hub and sort of start to build really good, strong, robust AI agents that can support the tools?
Okay. All right. So regarding this, I don't enjoy coming and saying, oh, hey, you know, if you use our Watson Orchestrate product, you're able to actually generate agents much easier because it understands the domain and it understands a lot of what we're doing already. But in order to come up to speed, if you're already writing agents, you know, we do provide everything the goal here is for us to provide an open interface and everything open so that you are able to write agents and pull information out of our product, out of the ELM platform. So coming up to speed, honestly, using the tool is simple. It's, as you saw, Jim, clicking a few buttons. Yes, the agents can get more complex going down the line, and again, the one thing that I didn't hear, maybe you said or not, big key for us is the human is in the loop. We're not taking the human out of the loop. If we take the human out of the loop, if I ever hear Boeing's using this and takes the human out of the loop, I'm only flying Airbus. So, it's kind of one of those things where, again, you put in and you can get some stuff out. You got to look at it. Coming up to speed for you all. One thing we do recommend, if you're interested in it, contact us. Well, when I say us, IBM, I'm looking at some of the sales organization in the back of the room there, napping. Sorry, I just had to pick on you there. I know you're not napping. Reach out to them. We can help set up a POC for you. We're not going to, I would highly recommend if you start looking at it. We do have videos out there of what you might see. One of the guys that we work with, he has and this is not a shameless plug for the guy's YouTube channel, but the guy has, I don't know, 80 plus videos that he's created. Yeah, he's actually monetizing. He's like up to $1 a month. So, at some point he's going to be able to go to Starbucks and get a coffee. Not a big one, one of the small ones. So anyway, Brett Charmet is the gentleman who has a lot of these videos, and he's come up to speed, and he has a lot of ideas of how you can, you look at it and you go, oh, I can use it this way. I can come up to speed this way. But again, if you want to try it, reach out to us. We can help set you up with a POC. Now, obviously, I'm not sure where she is, if she's left or not. We had the discussion on classified networks or, things behind the firewall. That's a little different story. We got to figure out a way around that, but we're still working that, but anyway, that's how you come up to speed, ideally.
Yeah, I think the way to get your requests in, maybe, I think we have an ideas portal, the RFE portal. I think we want to be able to probably use that as the main point to submit. We'll have to work on making sure we add an AI toggle there, or a selection.
I think it was put in.
Okay, to be able to do that, so we can do it that way. And I think if you're not a member of the Tech Exchange community online, the discussion forums, right, would be a good place to start commenting with other users and what they're doing, and kind of get some insight too. But that's a good place to ask questions or even respond to other people that are doing stuff there. Other than that, the ideas portal is probably the best place to be, a formal place to put it, rather than just an email to Harry.
Just out of interest, I'm going to get some audience participation here, hopefully. Commas. What's people's feel on using AI within your environment? What would you like to see as an agent within Doors Next or ETM or Engineering Workflow Management? Shaheen.
You got to have the human aspect. If you don't have the human feedback, then you're completely depending on the machine, basically. So I guess I'd want to use AI for efficiency, and as Amar said, there's a compressed timelines, because the customers are saying, right, the moment we sign on a dotted line, we want you to get going, essentially, and we want to arrive at this time point. However, there's a learning aspect, as Amar shared, within our organization, certainly, and converting people into using the tool set. My question is, the agent that, when you use the agent to analyze the requirements, and you get the output, if you like, and then you use that for the agent that produces the test cases, test scripts, if subsequently you re-baseline the requirements because you've presented to the customer and said, this is now the new baseline. Is the ETM agent, the one that creates the test cases, is it smart enough to realize that the requirements haven't changed and therefore you can rerun it and it re-baselines the test cases? Because there might be some test cases which are no longer applicable, or there might be additional scope required to make sure that you've got full test coverage.
Understood. That's not quite there yet, for
Right.
sure. Even the ETM piece is not there yet. It's just something we use inside the requirement piece. But I think that comparison and impact of change analysis
Yep.
beyond just a traceability link, right? And then I think that's another agent be able to traverse the links and look at it, see, verify what's changed in the original and go, does this affect, does the test steps I created still work or not? And at least help us identify it to get there quicker, right?
Yeah.
You're probably still going to have to do some manual effort to make sure it's right, but at least help to identify the conflicts. I see that as a great potential.
The main reason, back of my mind, the reason why I am asking this specific question within our organization, exactly what Amar has presented, is we worked in safety critical sectors.
Right.
And we've got to be absolutely 100%
For sure.
make sure that the test coverage that we, the things that we test, the test requirements, we haven't missed something out in the corner somewhere. For example, I don't know, the points on a railroad track, we may have failed to test them. And then when the software is deployed, the points are open, train comes through.
Right.
I'm not trying to be dramatic, but these are real life
No, I know, totally.
test cases.
Totally.
And we've got to make sure that the test cases and test scenarios cover not just the basic requirements, but also the safety elements.
Mhm.
So if the requirements are re-baseline, I want to be able to click a button and make sure that there's a synchronization between what the test back that's going to be run is in line with the requirements.
It's still, I mean, that's part of the idea of why we created the link indicators, right? That go suspect when it has something related to a changed. So it at least has that kind of notification, but it's not AI driven yet.
Yeah.
Right. But I could see that easily traversing that and go, it's questionable. What's the difference now?
Yeah.
Right.
And it's also, I'm looking at it from the angle of engineering expectation. Because the moment we, the moment we introduce AI and look at wonderful things it does, what it will do is it'll raise the bar and say, right, okay, we want it to do this.
Yeah.
The expectation is much higher.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's time and cost involved.
Yeah.
That was my question.
Yeah.
Got another question about there, Ed?
I tell you what, while the microphone's moving, I'm going to terrify you a little bit. Last week, I was at a meeting and there was a gentleman from NAT there, the National Air Traffic Control System. He terrified me by saying, we're experimenting with AI. Now, he did say we're just assessing it and we're going to keep on assessing it. We're not implementing anything, but air traffic control is already experimenting with AI and the entire room just went, oh.
Yeah, I'm flying out of small airports now.
Yeah.
Was that logo on the?
No, not one of our customers. No. And I should point out, it was in context, Royal Academy event, and they're just kind of constantly viewing it. And at some point, someone's future, it may be stable. There's something there from Stanford who's trying to create deterministic AI, which is an interesting concept for safety applications. And it's that's where we're going.
So I wouldn't see an issue with AI in air traffic management normally. It's just that when it goes wrong, there's going to be no people left to fix it. Now I'm interested in the AI, but one of the projects I'm involved in, everything's got to be air gapped. And so I'm looking forward to the deliverable version that can be sort of included in the ELM situation. As not everyone that I work with is a systems engineer, but so getting AI advice as much as anything like that's a bad requirement would be better than no advice at all. I'm sure we've all seen the requirement that the system shall be not difficult to use.
Top of the list. Yes.
I'm going to tell you where we are at this point. I mean, we already kind of described it. We have the capability to go behind the firewall. It's just not easy. We're working on making it easy. That's the key. I have real issue with saying, hey, we can get this surgery done, but you can't have any, we can pull your tooth, but you're not going to get any Novocaine. All right, that's not a whole lot of fun. Let us make it easy, and then these guys will know, and so it's going to take, we have some good research going on that right now. You are not, again, I get this question, I deal a lot with the defense contractors, even automobile manufacturers. They're concerned about their IP, and tier 1, tier 2 auto suppliers are concerned. I work with Abbott Labs, and they also, medical devices, they have heartburn also. So again, a lot of companies, more than I think we expected, want air gapped.
I think our hybrid cloud journey with ELM now, meaning that containerized solution for ELM is out. It's been out since last year. And then AI Hub is containerized, perhaps CSC is containerized. So in those air gaps, you'll have a kind of a YAML script, basically, that'll build out those systems for you very quickly, and it'll make those updated much faster. So I think that's the journey to make that easier, less painful, like he's saying, as soon as we learn how to use Kubernetes.
Any other questions from, Matt Rendell?
Sorry, I have a very specific AI capability that I'm yearning to see. Because if I had a penny for every time I've had to manually import a requirement specification into Doors Next, I would be able to afford at least a pint in a London pub, possibly even 3. So what I am after is not having to do that. Where are we on having configuration controlled document management that I can plug into the ELM tools? That I think is my question for the IBMers. I'd also be interested from a Mark/Amar perspective as to what you would like that to look like potentially.
I know it's a request.
Ideas portal, I think, that one, isn't it?
It's, I guess what Jim was saying here, it's already in. You're not,
request, not
it's a
in the
request, yes.
Yeah.
Ping us and we'll get you an update.
I wouldn't say pipeline, I would say backlog.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, that's always been a tough one, right? Is I've got a new updated PDF. How do I put that in there and know that that's right? And I think AI can make that easier now to be able to read that document and do some comparisons and then update just the changes, things like that. But it's not quite there yet. But I can envision a lot.
Can I give you a corner
Yep,
case?
please.
We've had one customer give us screen grabs of a PDF in a Word document. Could you handle that?
Oh, a screen grab. Oh, great.
Screen grabs of a PDF on a Word document.
Well, AI can read screen grabs and convert to text too. So, yeah, that's terrible.
We have some interesting characters we deal with.
There actually is a question in the chat on the remote session. Is there any scope for or anything in the pipeline for doing something with the requirements interchange format for importing things that way and using AI?
Where's Nikolai? There he is. You were asking about RecIF. Yeah. I don't know. I didn't see that on the list myself, but that doesn't mean it's not there. Have you done any, you haven't, with the stuff you've done, have you done any AI work?
I'm not sure if I got the question right. It's about document or information coming from any kind of documents, or is this RecIF specific, or?
Why not with RecIF?
Yeah.
Oh, re-import on top of it later for a different version. Yeah, that makes sense, and that's an easy way to do it if you have it in RecIF format somewhere else. Because then you can automatically get the differences. But
what we have kind of is in our AI solution just to have a Rec workspace where you can import RecIF as well together with other documents. But
yeah,
I'm not sure if that is really what you're looking for.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah. So RecIF definitely is an answer, but how do you get into RecIF to begin with is the first question.
Yeah, I think one of the use cases we've already heard multiple times in the past is there a way of having an AI-based document import into Doors next generation? So you can throw in anything and you end up with a DNG module.
Yeah, yeah.
But it is something that we at least have on our list to do, but no plan yet when to do that.
Yeah, okay.
We've got another question at the back there, have we?
It's me again. Where's the underlying data in ELM? Is it accessible by other applications, or has it got to come through ELM to be able to come out like OSLC? I know one of the projects I was on recently, they had over 25 years worth of doors information that they decided that they wanted to get out of it and put into another tool or archive into a filing cabinet. No, the Doors Classic. Well, no, ELM is what I'm asking about at the moment. The project I had before was a Doors Classic project. It was difficult to get the data out without having the Doors license, which is why they sort of moved on. So I want to find out what's the danger of going for ELM, like to ease my customers' concern. If they went for ELM, would they still be able to get their data out if they decided to move on from ELM to something else? That makes sense. Yeah, well, not the Doors Classic, but would they be able to get the underlying requirements data out of wherever it's stored for ELM?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's different ways to export that data, obviously. One is just the entire database dump. The other one would be if it's in Doors Next, you could do a RecIF dump of everything if you wanted to, or project by project, or you could simply use report exports, CSV file exports, whatever. Lots of ways to get data out. Depending on how much of that you really want, I guess. But and then we have various migration tools into our tools that work in reverse. But I don't want you to go off our tools. Yeah. Yeah. Right. They have to archive it in some fashion. Yeah. Usually we do that in reporting methods and whatnot. Richard, do you have an idea on that?
Yeah, I'm working with a customer at the moment, and they take infrequent RecIF archives. So they've got areas of data that they think are essential, and they've got concerns that suddenly budget will lose, that your tool budget will go away. And so to protect against accountants removing that budget, they take infrequent archives using RecIF. They have no idea what tool to put it into next. They're not tested, can they put it into another tool? But at least we've got that warm, fuzzy feeling that the data's there in a file that they can read.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the good thing of RecIF, it's compatible with other tools, so it's not vendor dependent. So then you're kind of sure that whatever will happen next, that this file will be readable in the future by something.
Yeah. Industry standard built. Yeah.
Was there another question at the back there? Right. For the floor at the moment. Okay. Lost where I am on my list now. It was quite a stimulating conversation. Okay. Mr. Williamson, you've been very quiet so far, and I think we need to bring you into the fold. Unusually quiet, yes, it's because it's getting to that time of the day. In a nutshell, how can optimize, but for these people here that aren't potentially our customers at the moment, what's your view of how Optimize can support and develop and help teams grow the tool usage within their organizations? Have you got any sort of insight you can share on that?
An easy one, actually. I just get you guys to go and do the work.
That's it, yeah, you see, yeah.
No, I mean, effectively, the IBM are over the previous decades, they're making the tools more and more intuitive. the UI is getting better and better. Some may disagree. I think I had a client the other day who just wanted to stay Doors Classic because it's really easy to use. Or sometimes we get the opposite saying, oh, we want to have something really Gucci and Doors Next. However, UI is improving. However, how we can support and how can we improve the adoption and the return on investment on the use of that is just by supporting you guys through the best practices and how to configure the tools, how to use the tools, how to get the best value out of the tools. And as a gold business partner with considerable expertise now with Matt, Maria, and the team, yeah, we can help you make the best of your investment in these tools. Because that's exactly what it is. It's an investment, isn't it? So if you can get the best value out of those tools by getting up to speed more quickly through our support and enabling you to get the best out of the tools, that's what we can do through, through training, through direct support. You get your IBM support out of the box with your licensing, your support and maintenance. You've got your 24/7 support, 365 from IBM. But between that, we can sit between that and we can help you make that connection. Reach out to the IBM people that need to understand the issues and enable you to make the best use of the tools going forward.
I mean, in reality, IBM is built for business partners to be a part of their
The ecosystem.
yeah, the ecosystem. Yeah. Without us, we wouldn't survive without our business partners. So we welcome, especially competent ones that know what they're doing and can
None of them around here.
that are technically skillful. We love it.
Okay. Looking at the time now. So I mean, just following on that thread, then. I mean, what other parts of the IBM sort of machine can sort of the rest can organisations sort of come to? I'm thinking like sort of client engineering, that kind of thing. Is there any sort of other parts? So if one of our sorry, I've just seen the time. Yep, checked. What's the best way to get something that's not from a business partner perspective, or is there a mechanism in place within IBM for customers to come through and get some sort of support around customization or help with the tools themselves?
Through IBM?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll be straight out, as you have all heard earlier. If you need help, you can come to us and we're going to talk to people like him because we trust them. Now, don't get me wrong, not all partners are made the same. I did not get a kickback on this, okay? But no, we do have our services organization. They do a great job. But we also rely upon people like Optimize. All right. So that's kind of the direction I'm leading. Regarding people, knowing what's going on, something we do have, and I'm not, we have to get, if you're interested, we do have a thing called the Design Partner Program where you can participate and you are on there with other customers that are trying to solve hard problems. You're there with our development directors, some product management, not sales. Sales is not on there. Okay, this is not a sales effort when we're doing our design partner. And we have design partner programs for a variety of different things. We have one for MBSE, one for AI, one for, there's like 6 of them. I don't know all of them. If that's ever something that, because that's good, you can give us feedback, we can give you feedback. You get ideas from there. It's just a really good brainstorming. You get to meet people from other companies around the world. It's not meant to be a resume passing session, but it has happened actually. So anyway, that's the design partner program. So reach out to your field team and they can get you in touch with them.
We're very quickly coming to closing stages, which I'm sure some of you will be pleased to hear. Probably left the last question at a point where it's going to overrun. You mentioned earlier on, Harry, that IBM have got a strategic partnership in place with Siemens. How's that going? In a 3-minute nutshell.
All right, it'll be pretty quick. So Siemens and, I don't want to say IBM, but it's IBM. Siemens and ELM have a relationship where right now you have systems and software as the focal point of ELM. And then over in Siemens, when you're talking about the PLM world, they're looking at mechanical, electrical. And historically, systems engineers used to throw stuff over the wall to software people. And then more stuff was thrown over the wall to, electrical and mechanical. So we have worked together with Siemens to build a bridge between Rhapsody and ELM over to their Siemens Teamcenter, their PLM environment, so that, for instance, if they're working with Rhapsody or Rhapsody SE, you can see the models there. But then as it goes across the bridge, you can see the Rhapsody models and with all the linkages and everything to the requirements over in the Teamcenter area also. So there's a smooth transition of content from systems to software to electrical and mechanical. There's no more throwing it over the wall. So the idea there, again, more chasms are being closed, helps us out, streamlines a lot of stuff. I mean, how many people here are Siemens Teamcenter PLM customers? Okay, a couple shy people, okay. All right.
Very worried nod at the back there.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
So that's basically what we're doing. It's a good relationship.
Yeah. The question at the back there, yeah.
Sorry, just for clarification with Teamcenter integration. Is that through ELM or is that through Rhapsody?
It's through, what's it? Well, through Rhapsody right now. So you can go and access the linkages. So if you have your model, let me stop. You have your doors and your Rhapsody connected up and you have your traceability set up. And as that will be able to be seen through the Siemens connector.
It's basically OSLC connections between them, but it's the handoff piece I think we're getting to is you have your SysML model that gets handed off to Siemens to build out the lower level designs, technical designs that is still connected there through OSLC.
Is there any intention of being able to connect to ELM? Because that's actually more useful from a requirements point of view.
So I think right now the only way to do it is going to be going through Rhapsody. I don't know. I thought there was some discussion about having it go through, like, from Teamcenter over to Doors Next, not Doors. Doors Next. I don't know if that's there yet or not. I'm not sure. But
yeah, I don't know if they're accepting the OSLC connectors.
Right.
On the Siemens side.
Yeah, see, we're wide open. We don't hide anything inside of, because of our open interface. Siemens has to actually build that part. And right now, the only part that I know is the Rhapsody tie.
Well, I've exhausted my list of questions now. I'm going to do one final sweep of the floor because it's actually beer o'clock now, officially, I think. Is there any more questions that we can take in from the audience or the online feed? No.
We're happy to talk during the drinky time.
Okay. Well, I guess it's probably time for us just to give a bit of a big thank you for you guys coming and spending the day with us today. We hope and our panelists, of course, and our presenters, without all of us together in the room, the tools will stagnate. We need to keep things moving. And that's what this event's about. And we'd really like to, we really hope that you've enjoyed the day and you've got some value from it. So thank you very much for attending. Sorry for stealing your thunder.
Yeah, a few thank yous. Yeah, first of all to you guys. Without you guys being here, it wouldn't be the event it is.
Yeah.
From a personal perspective, this is the fourth one we've done now. I think it's just getting better and better and better. We hope you appreciate that as well. And let's have your feedback after the, I think, Sarah, you're going to send us feedback for? Let's get, yep, there it is, feedback, yeah.
QR code.
But nobody will remember that, we'll send it out, yeah, yeah. Yeah, your feedback really vital for the next one that we do. Yeah, so thank you to all. Thank you for IBM for hosting. Thank you for IBM for presenting and for Amar for presenting. Thank you for IBM for sponsoring the drinks and food afterwards again. So thank you very much for that. Yeah, and thank you to Sarah for putting all this together. I mean, it's a whole team events, but Sarah is a cog that keeps us all where we are. Yeah. 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 So Sarah, assisted by Abby, sat at the back. So and our tech team, Matt, and myself, so, and Maria. So yeah, thanks for that. Hopefully we'll enjoy a couple of cold ones. And yeah, David, we're looking forward to seeing the finished article. Yeah, yeah. This was really cool last year, I thought. So yeah, we'll send that out. We'll have it on our website. Yeah, as soon as we receive it. Yeah, and thanks, David. Another great event. So, yeah. So. Slides.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll send those out. Yeah. Thank you all.
Great stuff. Thank you very much.
Hopefully we'll see you next year or the next one, whenever we manage to pull it all together again.
Thanks, guys.